Hello and welcome to the China Repair Studio. Now today I thought I would show you how I sand and file down all the Milliput that we have applied previously on this small sugar bowl. Now what you would need is obviously your item, again protective cloth or some kitchen roll on your work surface. Not necessary, but depending how thick you've actually put the Milliput on, you may need a craft knife. If you do use it, be very careful, they're very sharp. And then we have our sandpaper. So first of all, I just want to show you the different types of sandpaper and the grades, because it really does make a difference to when you're sanding. For instance, if you sand with too high, if you sand and it's too rough, you're going to end up damaging all of this paintwork, and we don't want that. So, and also if you have any gold gilding or silver gilding, again you want to avoid any sanding on gilding. Here we don't have gilding, and so it's a lot easier. Now the different types of sandpaper can range. I've bought a big collection which came in one large bag. And it ranges from 1,000, as you can see here. It ranges from 1,000 to 600, and the higher you go up the level, for 180 for instance, that is very rough. And this is 180, it's a very rough one, which to be honest is a bit too rough for what we need today. Depends what you're actually sanding and what, the grade you need. So that's the 100. So I would probably use today, you start off with a sandpaper with a higher grade, and then you work your way down. So I would start off with probably, let's have a look, let's go for a 600. Now, here we are, here's the 600, we'll try that first. I don't use the whole lot, I just tend to break a piece off. And then we start to sand. Now I can see when you look here whereabouts the join is, but also the join is never 100% flush. Not all, if you can, great, but not very often. So once we get to almost finishing off, we need to work and sand away from the higher point, for instance. So I've got my 600 and I'll start sanding here. Now, here we go. What I'll do is I'll just demonstrate on this part. Now, as I say, you don't want to be sanding all the way going backwards and forwards, because you don't want to scratch the glaze. So slowly. Now I can see here it's slightly higher, I think, on that side than this side, so I'll just finish off here. As you can see, it's a lot easier because I didn't make it flush. I didn't put the Milliput on flush. It was slightly proud, but we didn't overdo it, because if you overdo it you create more work for yourself, whereas this way you don't. So there wasn't too much Milliput to sand in the first place. The more Milliput you put down, the more sanding you have to do and the harder work. Alright, there we go. That's coming along there. That's the 600. I might actually change it. You can always chop and change. That's the 600. I might just change and use the 800. Let's go for that. So again, slightly coarser. We've got our little bits here, bit here which we're doing. So you can keep chopping and changing your grades to just experiment to see, you'll know to how much Milliput you put onto your item, to what grade you need to start with. Obviously if you start with a very small grade, you're going to be sanding for a very long time. Depends how much time you have. Now that's starting to come together. So you can see, and then, you know, once you've got a bit on there, then go on to another bit. And you can feel it with your fingernail and your fingers to see how smooth it's becoming. A really good test when you have finished sanding is to actually close your eyes whilst you're once it's finished, and just rub your finger through, because then you'll find without looking, and you can just feel if there's any ridges, and if there's any ridges, you know you need to keep sanding just to smooth it off. The smoother the finish, the easier it is when you're painting and when you're perhaps maybe using the airbrush. So, sanding. Now I can see that's starting to disappear now. I won't go through the whole sugar bowl today because we'd be here for a long time, as I'd say. So here we go. I mean, if it is taking too long, you can always go to a lower sand. Now I've been going around in circles here and just gently, not going across too much, and it's starting to disappear now. Got a bit of a ridge there. So let's just do this bit here. So I think now I've got to that stage, I can see it's just going. So I might even try slightly more. That's 800. No, believe it. Okay, so keep doing that. So once we've got to this stage, so we've done our 800, and then we just start, and then when you start to work down, so once you've done this on your 800, you would then use your 600. That's the previous one. And then just again, round circles. And then you'd work down lower. Now, I don't know what I've got in here. Obviously, you're not going to be buying too much sandpaper. This is a wet and dry sandpaper. It says waterproof. It's a German make, I think. Right, that's better. It's starting to go, and I can feel that's getting really smooth. Now, once we've done that, I'll then go up another grade. So probably 1,000 or maybe 1,200. Let's go for 1,000. So we've got our next grade, 1,000 grade, and I would just keep working up the grades, because bit by bit it makes it smoother, so you don't end up with any ridges. So now I'm working on this grade. Now once that grade's done, and I can start to see it's all starting to come through now, the original. Okay. Now once that grade's done, I would then work up to 1,200, and that would probably be my last grade of the waterproof. So again, you just take a tiny piece. Again, make sure your hands are nice and clean when you do this, because when you're doing that, you don't want any grease and dirt from your fingers to go onto your dish and onto the Milliput. Otherwise, when you come to paint, you're going to end up with the dark line. It will go into the cracks. There you go. Now that's coming together. Just as I say, I just do this small piece. I mean, sometimes there is equipment you can use, like you know, more professional, which would grind it with a mechanical rather than doing it by hand, which is a lot quicker. But if you're doing this from home, this is perfect. Sit down, watch some television, sand away. Right, so for instance, that's almost there. I won't keep doing that there. Now to sort of speed things up, I'll just show you. So for instance, so not pretend, but this is almost done. I can feel it's smooth. It's got a little bit more work to do, but for time's sake, I'll just show you the last stage to which I would do this to finish ready for painting and glazing. And that would be, there's a product here, it's called Micro Mech, And again, it's a 1200, the same as the waterproof, which is around here somewhere, here. But this is, it's on a cloth and it's very fine, and this is a really good one to finish off with. So when you finish off with a micro mesh, it actually makes it almost, it gives it such a deep, it almost makes it shiny, it makes it feel like glass, and it makes it extremely smooth. So you actually cannot feel a single ridge. It completely smooths any roughness. So we'll do that for a bit and then use the finger test. Yes, it's feeling smooth, great. Now I can work on to the next stage, which would be the inside here. Now I just want to quickly show you, if for instance you have a large piece and you do want to use the craft knife, when I'm using this, I do, with a craft knife, I do like to wear glasses, because this comes on and off and you change the blade and you don't want that flicking in somewhere and flicking into your eye. So I always wear some form of glasses. If you don't ordinarily wear glasses, reading glasses, or even just on, just something without even a lens in, just a strong lens, just glass. So we use this. So for instance, if like this was a bit here, say the bit here was protruding out a bit too much and it was going to take a long time to sand, I would have my craft knife and I would just very, very gently just chip away, just with a craft knife. I don't know if you can see there. Just very, very slowly. I wouldn't do it right to the point of where you can see the line. You just want to take off some of this, so then you can then go back to the sanding, which would make the sanding quicker and easier. So once we've made that, taken off any lumps and bumps which were a bit too thick, there we go, just that last little bit there, I would then start off with my 600 again, and then my 1000, and then my 1200, and then finish off my micro mesh. I would work down the level. So I hope that's been interesting, and I hope you've learnt something. Any comments, please comment down below, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.